Welcome, everybody. Once again, we're back with another episode of Hike the Y. Connor, joined by Nate and Brandon, my co-hosts. Guys, it's a great time to be a sports fan, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Nate is like mouthing all my words, so this is going to be a good episode. But yeah, to start things off, Brandon's got a little game for us, so we're going to turn it over to him.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta watch the video. Watch the video.
Yep.
I've been really enjoying watching the World Cup. I've also been scrolling through like World Cup reels and memes and all this stuff. And the other day I saw this meme, or I guess it wasn't a meme, it was like a reel, where US fans are just chanting, "It's called soccer." And like all the other fans in the stadium who call it football, I can just imagine like how pissed they are, like, oh, like these annoying Americans. But anyway, all of that made me thinking like football and like how they're kind of like relate. Well, they at least sound like almost the same. But anyway, our game for today, we're going to be taking a couple of things from football and implementing them into football. And then you guys are going to like rank how you like that implemented.
Okay.
Anyway, so I got five things. I'll go through the list. And I think this is gonna be fun. All right, the first thing from football, American or soccer, implemented into American football would be a continuous clock and almost no ad breaks. Because in soccer, it's like you're getting like no ad breaks. You have halftime and then the second half, and besides the hydration break from the World Cup, like it's just continuous play. Nate, you're not liking that?
I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh my goodness, I hate it.
You enjoy
Just
watching ads?
yeah, well, okay, here's the thing. The thing that I hate about the continuous clock is the arbitrary amount of time that they add at the end of the game. Because they have that non-stop clock, you just don't know when the game's gonna end. Whenever bro wants to blow his whistle, the referee can just end the game. And I think that that gives too much power into the referees, and that would cause too much controversy when it came to close games. Because just wait till one ref that's gambling on a game blows his whistle. It's just it feels arbitrary to me. I think soccer should switch over. I personally like the ads. Like I don't know, something about like having a
Yeah,
quick
no one
advertisement.
ever, bruh. Ain't no way you just said
No,
I like the
Yo,
ads.
guys, no, hold on. I know this is controversial, but sometimes you just
man.
want to stand up, stretch your legs, go grab yourself a nice cold drink of root beer or any other beverage of your choosing, right? And sometimes you're just chilling and it's like, team, it's been a grind. Like it's just so fun just to like embrace some of those like watching the Dr. Pepper ads. It's just a fire. Like that's one of the things that I don't necessarily love about sports, but I'm at a if I go sit in the rock, I kind of miss it. I want to have that little break to go like get myself a drink and have a good time.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I don't know if there are ways to speed up the game more, but like as somebody who did play football, you need those ad breaks both as like a time like soccer, yes, you're always or football, you're always running around continuously, but the pace at which you run as an individual player really changes depending on the position of the ball on the field. So you don't need breaks like set breaks with water to the same degree that football players need. And so as somebody who played football, I loved the timeouts and like the breaks so I could go talk to my coaches, get some, adjustments mid-series, whereas they have to wait for halftime usually to make any adjustments, or in the World Cup, they can make some during a hydration break, but it's not the same as having that timeout to make adjustments in like a football game when the stakes are high.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fan experience maybe would be fun in like the first half, not having as much ads and stuff like that. But I think the players, especially in the second half, would really start to slow down, and just the overall result wouldn't be as good. So, yeah, it would be fun, but it wouldn't work in football, American
If
football.
if I could bring up one more point, it also just depends on the fans. Like I'm thinking inside of the arena, BYU does a really good job during ad breaks or like during
Mm.
timeouts of getting the fans involved in the game, especially for a school that doesn't have a lot of alcoholic beverages. I don't even think they're allowed in the stadium. I'm
No.
sure
Nope. No,
some
sir.
people can get in under the influence, but like I think BYU does a really good job of just having a good environment of just being able to have a little bit of participation, whether you're watching at home or you're watching in the arena. I just love myself a nice little quick ad break.
Okay. Honestly, that wasn't a horrible argument. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not,
I
yeah.
as soon as you started speaking, I was like, this is gonna be just terrible. But it wasn't that bad. So kudos to you, Nate.
No,
Anyway,
bro.
Ouch.
uh number two thing in soccer that I think everyone loves is the flopping. We see like American people complain about SGA all the time flopping. They haven't seen soccer because it's bad. And I actually think football is one of the sports where really there almost is no flopping because it doesn't really give you a distinct advantage at all, unless maybe there's like a holding call or something. But really, football players don't do it. So, would you guys want to see football players try to sell calls a little bit more?
Wait, see football players?
Yeah, like American football.
I don't think it will work, honestly. I think you can do it, but I'm gonna be real with like especially like the World Cup and VAR. I've been a little disappointed that they have that many people like as video officials full time, whereas in college football they might mainly rely on like the replay booth to you know initiate a call. If they do that, then there's usually something that they saw. But with all this video. There's not a lot of these calls that I think players could successfully sell that wouldn't have been called correctly anyway. Like, the one I can think of that players could flop and maybe get a little bit more calls than they do is pass interference. If there's any contact, you could just go down and give it a shot. But I don't think the ref's gonna after a couple of videos, the refs study film too, and I think if you're one of those players that's gonna do it, the refs aren't gonna let that fly. I don't think it would work. I think it receivers and the cornerbacks are the sissies on the football field that have the best chances of getting something like that, but I don't think it would actually work.
Brandon, I got three things to tell you.
Okay.
SGA, FIFA, NCAA, keep that out of my sport. We are not allowing flopping to come into college football. Okay. I cannot stand to have another sport ruined by flopping. Okay. It is unacceptable. And I think that that is something that we can keep and ban from every single sport possible. I don't want to see it in football. I already see it too much in football. You see a kicker get his shoelace touched, he's falling to the ground, and that's 15 yards going the other way. It's ridiculous. It makes me want to throw my controller at the TV. I hate it so much, okay? I want to keep that out of any sport. Get out of soccer, get out of football, get out of basketball.
You're on fire today.
There you
All
go.
right.
There you go.
I agree. Yeah, flopping in football would just be terrible. All right, next one. In soccer, this doesn't happen very often, but it happens in the World Cup. If you are tied at the end of the game, you play an extra 30 minutes, and then you don't go to another overtime, you don't go to another extra period, you take PKs. So you trade off each team kicking. And college football kind of does this with the 2-point conversions. But would you guys want to see a field goal kickoff instead of the 2-point
Ooh.
conversions to end a college football game? So it makes like the kicker a little bit more valuable. Like if you end up going to that kickoff, I just think it'd be fun to watch too, because it's a ton of pressure, all one kick. Seems like fun.
I
I
like
would
it.
like it.
I
I
like
like
it.
it.
Here, just let this percolate in your brain for a second. You start at 60 or 70 yards away from the field goal.
What?
Yeah. And it's
Oh,
whoever can, you start at like 70 yards, and if they both miss, you go to 60. And if they
I
both
think you should
miss, go to
start from
50.
short.
I was
I think
thinking
you
they'd
start from
start like
short.
closer.
You
Yeah,
start like an extra point and then you work your way back, and whoever misses first, that team
Really?
loses.
that's what I
Just
was thinking too.
go band for band. Ooh,
Band for
I
band,
guess
five, like you
Nate,
move
yeah,
back 5 yards. You make it from 20, you move back 30, 40.
ooh.
it
I
would
feel
be
like
kind of
either
fun
one would be
though.
great. Either one would be great.
It would allow like kickers to like if you hit a 70-yard field goal for the win, like that's kind of
That
cool.
would go crazy.
But
Yeah.
like just
I
imagine
like,
like
yeah.
Yeah, just imagine like if you started from the 70, like started from 70 yards, kickers would adapt to that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like coaches, because we're already getting people who can kick 70 yards. Whether you see it in you can see it in random niche high school games in like sketchy footage that they get off of the internet, or you can see it in the NFL. I think if a a field goal that gets kicked from the 70-yard line and then they both miss, I think kickers would get better and then you get to 60. But I could see it both ways. If you start from the 15, I just think if you start really far back, it's a little bit more anticipation because they're both missing until they get one made. Because that's kind of how it is in soccer, you know? You
Yeah.
both miss a shot and it's you just need to make a
And you're right
shot
back in it.
and
Yeah.
you're right back in it, you know? So
It's
that's
crazy.
that's
Yeah.
something I could see happening in football. But
Yeah.
I would say that's approved.
I think it could be
Dang.
fun, but I think it should be the way it is now. I think the NCAA has overtime the rules the way they should be. But it's a fun thing to toy with and to think about. End of the game, you need
Yeah.
your kicker.
Uh-huh. I agree with you, Connor. I feel like it does take away from like the point of winning a football game a little bit, just because kicking is not a huge part. And there's already some people complaining about the 2 point conversions and how that's annoying too. But I think just the excitement levels from the fans, from the players, it would be off the charts.
The anxiety level, bro. BYU and
Yeah,
Utah tied after overtime, needing a 55-yard field goal to win the game. That would be terrifying.
that would be hard. All right, next one. In football, you only get five substitution, or football, you only get five substitutions. You can only get five players on the pitch. And then I think it's maybe like one extra in extra time, or
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, would you guys like to see less players able to sub in and out of football? Like you got to keep your starting core and they've got to be able to have the endurance to go.
I think I think it's different. I don't think it would work. I think because they also have like a rule of like substitution windows, but I mean, there's certain packages you have where it's like maybe you have a double tight end package that you're going to run on first down, but then you don't want half of those players on the field for the next down. Like we've seen BYU does it, especially. They'll sub out their entire wide receiver core, or on defense, they'll sub out the entire D line, like at the same time. And so I think for the way that we run our game plan, especially, and a lot of other teams do it, I don't think something like that would work.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd have to agree with Connor. I think another team locally here in the state of Utah is the Utah Utes. Sometimes they'll even change their quarterback depending on if they want to run or throw the ball, and we saw that this last season. I think if that was a change implemented by the NCAA, everyone would absolutely hate it. But if you did add it, I think it would make players better. Just being able to have that kind of dual or triple threat of being able to just do a bunch of different things, it would make players better, but not, I think we'd see a decrease in rosters, and I just think people would hate it just in general. So I don't see that happening ever. And in theory, if we wanted to do it, I would still not do it, but I could see it to make the sport a little bit more entertaining. But I think by the time you get to the fourth quarter, people are just going to be exhausted.
Yeah. I agree. All right, last one. This one might be my favorite, like think tank one where you just got to think about it. But this doesn't have anything to do with World Cup. But most football leagues around the world do relegations, where the
Yes.
bottom
Yes, yes,
three
yes.
or couple teams in the league go down, and some teams from the best teams from the league below them go up. So I was thinking more along like NFL lines here, where like the NFL, like the bottom three teams have to go to the UFL or something. Or maybe in college football, like you drop out of the Big 12 or you drop to like D2 or FCS or something like that. But like it's interesting, like if you don't perform, you're gonna go down, and that's probably gonna ruin your program because then no one's gonna want to go there.
Yes. This is what they should do that. This is what should happen, all right? Because we got teams. I'm like the first thing that I've talked about this before, I think with my dad or with other people, but like the Big Ten, right? Indiana was ahead the whole year. And this is the same in these European soccer leagues, these football leagues where it's like they're the one team is up the entire season and they win the title. And it's not even really a debate that they're gonna. But the most exciting thing that season is who is relegated. And so like Indiana, head and shoulders, won the Big Ten. But you have like the worst teams in the league. It's like, all right, so who's going to lose this week? Northwestern plays Maryland. The loser drops out of the Big Ten conference. That's so much more exciting than the winner wins the Big Ten conference. So relegation should absolutely be a part of college football because then nobody can tank and nobody can say this is next. We'll figure it out next year. There's no rebuilding years when when you're fighting relegation. I think it should happen.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think we do something like put the Big 12 and then the SEC and then the Big 10 and then like the
We'll
Pac
like
12.
line them up.
Yeah, and
That'd
so
be
you like
interesting.
no the very top would be like the Big 12 and then if you drop out of the Big 12 you go to the SEC like
You
a
dropping out
lesser
the Big 12 on
conference.
purpose.
Drop from the
Less
SEC
prestigious league, he was about to say.
a less prestigious league. But
You're gonna get
but
booed off the stage for saying crap like that.
yeah, I
Anyway,
know. In all honesty, um going up to like the Big Ten or SEC, I think it would be entertaining, and then you could see different teams going into different conferences. But the one thing I do like about conferences, how they are now, is actually I don't like how they do it right now. I gotta go with Connor and Brendan. I gotta go with Connor's take.
Well, I don't know. I think if they implemented this across all sports, I feel like it would effectively eliminate tanking. Like teams just wouldn't be bad on purpose because they wouldn't want to get relegated.
Oh,
Anyway,
like okay, yeah, never mind.
yeah, I think it'd be fun. It would be interesting to see like a team going from the SEC to Big 12 or something like that. And then just like rivalries are kind of messed up, but I think the average college football fan would find it pretty entertaining.
I
All
like it.
right. Yeah, that was actually pretty fun.
That was
I
fun.
think, yeah. I don't know why it's called football still, American football. I still
No
don't
idea.
understand it, but it was comparing the two footballs to each other. Anyway,
Hey, I got
moving
one
on.
thing with that. One
Oh,
more thing with the World Cup. I want to put this. All right, so I've been watching a lot of these games. So I think I've been trying to figure out comparisons, to make this still interesting. US lost. That sucks. But to make this interesting, we got four teams left, right? So I
okay.
want to compare. These are the four semifinalists. I want to give them a college football equivalent, right?
Ooh, that's a good
So we got
idea.
Argentina, France, England, and Spain, right? So I've been thinking about this one for a little bit. Um, I don't know if it's not going to be exact, right? But I think it can be pretty dang good. Um, so starting with Argentina, Argentina best is represented by the University of Georgia. Top dogs, they've been in the fight every year. They have like they're just always up there. Like when you have to go play Argentina, it's like playing Georgia in Athens. You don't want to do it.
Mm,
They're kind of, they're slipping a little bit right now, but overall, they're still, they're semifinalists in the World Cup, so they're pretty dang good. So I gave them the University of Georgia.
I like that.
France, I gave Ohio State. Top talent, always in the hunt. Won the thing a couple times ago, and are always in the hunt, and they're back as one of the favorites to win it this next year. Um, I put Spain as the University of Oregon. They won the championship a while ago, but it's been a minute, but they've always had a
Oh,
good
yeah.
team. They've had some flashy players, flashy uniforms, always are in the conversation for title talks. And England's my favorite because it's spot on. England is none other than the University of Texas. England has the talent. They have the coaches year in, year out, World Cup after World Cup. I hear this is our year. They never win it. They have never brought it home. They have won the World Cup one time, and it was in the 60s. So they can't finish. And so they always say this is our year. They're one of like the pantheon of teams that just say this is our year every single year and have the talent and the coach that you're like, oh, maybe this could be the year. And then they never get it done. So I think that's probably the most accurate one. But the others, those are the ones that I was able to put together of the World Cup teams that are left and their college football equivalents.
It's hilarious. I th I'm sure England would be thrilled to hear they're being compared to Texas. All right. Yeah. If you're watching the World Cup, you're listening to this podcast, now you know. Now you know what all these teams are doing. All right, as promised from last week, it is time to discuss the Summer League. And I want Nate to start us off because Nate was kind of telling us about how his perception had completely changed. Darren Peterson was a new man, apparently. He was big man on campus. And then he and AJ kind of faced off. Darren Peterson didn't have a terrible game, but wasn't his best game for sure. AJ showed out, I feel like, while missing a lot of the shots he usually makes. He still put up 27 points. But anyway, Nate, let's hear it. What are you thinking about Summer League so far?
Guys, this is kind of sad. For me, as an agent Abasa fan, someone who enjoys the Cougars, I was kind of sad to get Darren Peterson. And then I saw Darren Peterson play 2 games, and I go, Washington Wizards, why on earth did you not take Darren Peterson first? Okay. Like, Darren Peterson is phenomenal. And then I saw AJ play, and then I go, Wizards, touche. You guys got the better pick. And then now I'm just stuck in the middle, and I'm going, Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa. I think there's room enough in the NBA for both of them. I think they're both phenomenal players. One thing I'm a little worried about was Darren Peterson's 9 foul game. In the summer league, you can get up to 10 fouls and
Bow
still
out.
remain in the game. And he had 9 fouls, so he had 8 turnovers, 9 fouls, and then 24 points. So he almost got a triple double in points, turnovers, and fouls. And that was against AJ DeBonsa, and the Wizards ended up beating the Jazz. But I'm just loving that both AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson are good picks. I think one thing that we see all the time is the number one is up here, and then there's a massive cliff, and then here's number two. But that has not been the case, and we see it with um, Wilson on the Bulls. Is that his name, Wilson?
Yeah.
Caleb Wilson, and we're seeing it with Luxembourg. We're seeing it with a bunch of different other rookies who are just showing up in summer camp. And of course, this is just a summer league debut for many of these players. But I'm liking this entire draft class, and I think this is going to be a draft class that goes down and is just legendary. It reminds me of the 2018 draft class, I believe, where we got JJJ, we got SGA, we got like a bunch of like big names
Trey
that you,
Young, Luka
yeah,
Doncic.
look at Doncic, Trey Young. Like it's just that was just a goated class, and I think that the class of or this upcoming class is going to be one that goes down in history forever. And so hopefully Darren Peterson is phenomenal at the Jabs. Hopefully AJ DeBonsa makes a name for himself at the Wizards.
Yeah. It's at at a certain point, you don't want to say uh, that you should be judging these players too much because it's summer league, but also it's still professional basketball. You're playing against guys mostly who are fighting to get minutes, fighting to make a G League team, maybe make an NBA team if you're not like a rookie that's trying to just get into it. So it's not like you're playing pickup ball. You're playing really competitive basketball with teams that are really trying to win. And like you don't have your team completely figured out yet. Like you've only been in the organization for a couple of weeks, but this is something close to what we are going to see from these players in this upcoming NBA season. And from what I have seen from Darren Peterson is an incredible shot creator, an incredible shot maker, but also an incredible turnover guy because he just really has been struggling with the ball during the summer league. So I'm really excited for Darren Peterson because turnovers is something you can work on and something you can fix. That's something that he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't play like he's a guy who's going to get a bunch of turnovers, but he ends up doing it anyway. So I think he can fix that. But then also watching AJ DeBonds to play, it's been like I'm a proud father, even though I'm actually not even sure who's older between me and him. But it's like
Good question.
watching AJ DeBonce at BYU and like just loving watching him play and then seeing him show out in the summer league and just play pretty well, even though his shot hasn't completely been there yet. Like it's just fun seeing a BYU player do well on a basketball court.
Yeah, it's true. It's been exciting. I think just it's just good for especially like BYU, but in the broader lens for the Big 12, to have four picks out of the top 10 in the NBA draft and then have all of them be performing exceptionally well is just critical to the success of the conference in the future. So it's really a good face. It's good for everybody that AJ Devonta and Darren Peterson like are looking very good so far. They're not looking like flops.
Yeah.
Right. There's two things that I am concerned. One with AJ and one with Darren Peterson. I'm going to start with AJ DeBonza because I have historically been negative towards Darren Peterson. The one thing that I'm worried about for AJ DeBonza is he turns into another SGA. I think SGA right now is probably one of the most either loved
You don't
or
want him to
hated.
become an MVP? Is that what you're saying? Saying we don't need to be hating on SGA.
Right. No, I'm just saying either you love SGA or you hate him. That's all I'm gonna say. There's no
Yeah,
one
that's
who's like, oh, I have moderate feelings for SGA. Either you're a I'm not gonna say that, but either you love him or you hate him, right? And there are flopping, and I've been watching him in the FIBA games, and he's not flopping over there. He only flops in the NBA, and that's one thing that's been concerning. Anyways, that's another side tangent. I've been watching AG Debonsa in the summer league, and he is flopping like crazy, even more so than when he was at BYU. And I think because he's getting into the NBA, he's kind of saying and seeing that it's okay to flop. And I don't want that to be a, a thing that gets passed down through generations of players. Because once someone like SGA and then AJ and then we get LBJ or LeBron, wait, is that LeBron James? No. But
Yo.
you get somebody else, right?
Sacrilege.
You get somebody else who just starts flopping, right?
Mm.
It just that's how you slowly start to ruin the game. And if it's only a couple players, that's okay. But the fact that AJ's doing it so early in the summer league, it's kind of concerning. And some of them are egregious flops. And I love AJ DeBonta to death, and I definitely have a a prejudice or not a prejudice. I have a bias here, right? I love AJ to death, but I don't want him to keep flopping how he is now. I want him to just
Mhm.
become a better player skills wise.
Yeah, if I can add to that just a little bit, I don't I don't know what to think because AJ did flop at BYU and it wasn't horrible. I don't think it's as bad as what we've been seeing in his summer league debut. But what I have seen is I feel like most, if not all of AJ's flops have come from pretty decent contact. I don't feel like he's just flopping without feeling almost anything at all, which is really annoying. But yeah, I agree. I really don't want him. I don't want it to see him as the player who is the new SGA, where people are just like, oh, it's another flop from AJ DeBonsa. But one of his skills is getting to the free throw line, and if he does get fouled, he deserves to get the call. So I would love to see him sell it in a way that isn't so egregious. But yeah, I if that's his game, then that's his game. So I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned it like Adam Silver said that they're going to try to crack down on that a little bit more. And so, but until they do, it's part of the game in the NBA, and it's not, if it's not enforced, it's allowed to happen. So he's just playing the game the way that it's that other people are playing it too. So, and I
Yeah.
mean, BYU, there are several games that we won that maybe would have been up in the air had he not gotten to the free throw line 15, 20 times. So, it's part of the reason the Wizards knew that going in, and I don't know if they're necessarily complaining.
Right. And the other thing I'm worried about on the Darren Peterson side is Darren Peterson has a kind of feisty attitude that I've never seen before. Like I've seen him be pretty competitive, but especially when it came to Darren Peterson versus AJ DeBonsa, there's a lot of words shared between the two of them. And Darren Peterson even getting involved a little bit towards the end of that game. And one thing that's just concerning for me for Darren Peterson is as he starts his NBA career for the Utah Jazz. Um, not I don't want to say is he going to be able to keep his temper under control because that seems a little too harsh, right? We've only seen a little glimpse, we've only seen a couple of games, but he does have that kind of chip on his shoulder. He turns the ball over, he makes some pretty hard fouls, and I'm just worried that maybe he has a little chip on his shoulder for going number two overall. I think he really wanted to go number one overall, and I hope he doesn't think to himself that he's a lesser player because he went number two overall. So that's just one thing to keep an eye out for the future. But watching the two of them, it's been great to see their debuts. It's been great to see other players who played in the Big 12 being successful and just and being really great for their team. Another person who's been great is Kei Bakeda. I'm loving seeing Kei Bakeda just having a fun time playing in. I don't know if he's playing in the summer league, but he's been playing in a bunch of games recently. Seeing some clips, he's having fun over there with the Pacers. So just loving watching those players.
Yeah, I also want to shout out Yegor Yeoman, who's averaging over 20 points a game in the summer league,
Diego.
and honestly just looks like a completely different player from who he was at BYU. He's driving a lot more, getting to his spots, hitting a lot of threes. So I'm really hoping Yegor can have like a sophomore breakout. I feel like there's a better name for that I'm missing. But with the Nets drafting a point guard, I was kind of disappointed. But I think Yegor is going to have a great season for the Nets this upcoming year. All right. I say we jump to the BYU football discussion. Uh, this last week, this last week we had a Big 12 preseason poll with just some random people voting, not random, but just some people voting. And Texas Tech, there were 16 people voting. Texas Tech received 14 first place votes for this upcoming season. BYU received two. Do you guys think that's fair? Do you guys think BYU should be maybe ranked a little closer to Texas Tech, even above?
Short answer, yes. 1-3 did a unofficial preseason poll with the Big 12 coaches in this last Big 12 media day. And BYU got six first place votes compared to Texas Tech, who got four first place votes. But then BYU got 13 top two finishes. And Texas Tech wasn't even near that number. And so talking to the coaches, the kind of feel is that BYU is going to be a higher seed or one of the better teams in the Big 12 this upcoming season. And I'm hoping that's true. The one thing that I hate the most is when BYU gets a lot of media coverage. I hate it when they're like, they're gonna win the whole thing. They're just gonna absolutely destroy. I love how we had it last season where everyone's like, or a couple of seasons ago where they're like, oh, they're gonna finish last in the Big 12, or they're not they're gonna be so bad this season, and then they go 11-1, and then they just defy all the odds. Because I think that's what BYU isn't that team that's just like, yeah, we're number one and we're just gonna be number one because everyone in the coaches poll believes in us. They're one of those teams that defy that they'll get number one because everyone said that they're gonna get number 12. So I'm kind of a little worried here, but maybe the true BYU Cougars is starting to change into that number one team. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe they change a little bit and they become that team that people just are afraid of and that are absolutely and BYU is just absolutely dominant.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it, honestly. Also for what Nate said about how BYU does really well when we're flying a little bit under the media radar, but also um how Texas Tech is more than just Brendan Sorsby. If he's not there, Texas Tech is still an excellent football team. And I think BYU's like not them not playing during the regular season doesn't necessarily mean that they might not meet in the Big 12 championship. But this Texas Tech defense, bring back a lot of guys. They bring back all the experience. They do have one of the best coaches in the league in the conference, and so I do think it's definitely a fair vote. And BYU, if they want to change that rating in people's minds, they're gonna have to prove it on the field.
I, yeah, I honestly think this BYU football season could hinge on four games, and that is the Arizona game at the start of the season, the Notre Dame game, and the Utah game. and the Big 12 championship game because I think this BYU squad is good enough to make it there. And obviously, there are Big 12 teams that look like they're going to be bad throughout the season and end up jumping up and being good. But at this point, those are the three teams on BYU's schedule that look like it's going to be tough. Those are the three teams that's like up there. Who's going to win? The other ones, BYU is a clear favorite at this point of the season. So I think if BYU can win two of those three, go to the Big 12 championship and do something there, then this season is going to be a lot better than what we imagined. Or I guess that doesn't make sense because I'm imagining winning a lot of stuff. But I think it can be better than what some haters are saying. And it's not like Texas Tech is just like out of the flux with quarterback. They have Will Hammond, who was able to come in last year and play pretty well before he got injured. And he's actually the son or the grandson of a former BYU grad. So it's a little BYU on BYU violence there with Texas Tech. So I'm hoping BYU can get that rematch. And I'm sure all these returning BYU players are hoping for the rematch against Texas Tech too, because it's going to be a really, really fun Big 12 championship game if both those teams get there and end up meeting again.
Yeah,
Yes,
Bear,
sir.
they're talking to Bear Bachmeyer. What game are you looking forward to the most? And he said, Utah Tech and Notre Dame. He's looking forward to Utah Tech not because they're a tough team and not because they're located here in Utah, but because they're the first game and they're also worried about Notre Dame. But I think secretly, deep down in his heart, he's got starred um, Texas Tech, hopefully, in the Big 12 championship, because that's going to be some sweet revenge. And if you talk to anyone on campus, I think anyone's going to want that game, Texas Tech versus BYU.
Oh, yeah. All right. With about 2 minutes left before our Zoom meeting shuts off, I wanted to give a quick shout out to, I hope I'm saying this right, Entrada. Is that right? BYU's newest sponsor. BYU's gonna have a little jersey patch for the first time from I think an institution for the first time ever. So obviously there's some controversy about that. We don't have too much time to get into it. But are you guys generally positive, negative about this?
I think it's all right. I think it's a way that BYU can get revenue. I don't love jersey patches at all. I think it could definitely go out of hand, especially because BYU will also be wearing and representing Monster Energy this next season. I'm not a fan of it, but I do like the revenue that it will bring to the conference and to BYU. And the deal with Entrada was a much better deal than Monster. We can go into that next time if we really want to, but BYU, this is a better deal business wise.
I like patches, helps pay for players.
Yeah, hopefully you can get those ticket costs to come down just a little bit. Nate,
Be
you want to
nice.
sign us off for today?
Yeah, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Everyone, go make sure you look at the Instagram and the YouTube. Make sure you drop a comment. Okay, this is getting too much. Can I get a go dogs? Ready, go
Oh,
dogs?
dogs.